Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Ooh, man, look at those eyes. Jeez. Creepy little bugger. We're going to be taking the Goblins today against the Tomb Kings. Yes, that's right. Goblins against Tomb Kings, because I'm feeling particularly risky. So let's get to the army compositions. Good old Creepy here. Goblin Great Shaman is going to be leading the way. He's got Vindictive Glare, Sneaky Stabbin', and Itchy Nuisance, as well as Arcane Conduit, while, of course, and Crown of Command. Very key for a Goblin force to have. Just gives a single target, unbreakable, but still, because your units are going to be routing a lot, it's very useful to have. The main line is going to be a mix of Night Goblins with Skulkers, lots and lots of Chevrons to go around, and the two applicable regiments of renown here in the center, the Warlord's Boys and the AP Loonies. We've also got 3 Goblin Rock Lobbers, and believe it or not, these guys are going to be used to take down Ushabti Great Bows. We've got 4 Spider Riders, again, lots of Chevrons for these guys to juice up their stats. Moon Howlers as well, the Regiment of Renowned Wolf Riders, and it wouldn't be complete without the Teeth Robbers as well. We've got Mangy Marauders and the Death's Creepers and more Spider Riders on the other side. Now, for the Tomb Kings, he's got 2 Ushabti Great Bows, a front line of Skeleton Spearmen and Skeleton Warriors, 2 Tomb Scorpions, and a Hero Titan with 2 Ushabti Great Bows, and good old Mr. the Imperishable leading the way here. He's got, let's see, Crown of Nehekara, of course, Incantation of Cursed Blades, Incantation of, Protection, and it looks like also Desiccation as well, and the Blessed Blades. So without further ado, let's get the battle rolling. You can see that, yeah, these Ushabti Great Bows, I mean, believe it or not, you saw a little bit of damage go down there. The Rock Lobbers, especially en masse, not necessarily great against monsters, but they have the armor-piercing damage to deal with them, certainly. If the rocks do make contact, they're able to do some pretty good HP damage, and you can already see about 10% HP damage on these Ushabti Great Bows so far, which is pretty good stuff, considering they're goblins with catapults shooting at them. We've also got the Mangy Marauders and the Death Creepers moving up on the side here. Going to be doing some skirmishing with these Ushabti Great Bows here. The Ushabti Great Bows are all currently focused on my chariots, which... I mean, it's certainly sad to see the Teeth Robbers get robbed like this, but nonetheless, I'd much rather they shoot at these guys than some of my other more expensive units. Not that I really have that many expensive units for the Ushabti Great Bow to shoot at in the first place, but these Mangy Marauders, for example, have been free to fire this entire time. The Ushabti now going to turn their attention over here, but the Mangy Marauders have been able to get some really good damage done with their armor-piercing missiles, and they'll continue to stand and fire there as we take that skirmish engagement. You can see the monster is trying to push forward. He's going to try and shut down these Rock Lobbers, obviously, as quickly as possible. You can see the Carrion just kind of trolling around it as well, waiting for the right opportune moment. I've got the Goblin Great Shaman in a nice reserve position. Don't want to put him at risk, but we're going to go ahead and drop a Sneaky Stabbin' on these Skulkers and pop a Smoke Bomb here, so that if this Tomb Scorpion tries to go after the catapult, he'll be slowed down. Same thing right here, I think. It looks like I'm a little late on the Smoke Bomb there. And the Carrion do come down to try and tie up these 2 artillery pieces. Thankfully, the third one's still online, still firing these Ushabti Great Bows in the distance. Also, of course, doing some collateral damage to the Skeleton Spearmen as well. And yeah, you can see, unfortunately, the Mangy Marauders did get routed off here, but not before doing some considerable damage there to those Ushabti Great Bows. So that's pretty cost-effective in my book. They should be able to come back from routing as well. But in the back line, you can see Wa being popped, and the main line engagement, so to speak, the infantry engagement, if you will, is going to get underway. The AP Loonies here, or these are actually the Warlord's Boys, going to be fighting in the main line. AP Loonies as well, and, Skulkers and all that jazz. Should be, actually, the AP Loonies are back here. It looks like they're fending off some Carrion there. Yeah, so we've just about been able to secure this piece. Unfortunately, the crew does get terrified away by the Tomb Scorpion there. Meanwhile, over here, this Tomb Scorpion is in a bad situation. He's isolated. He's getting just dragged down by Gobos from all directions. There's Skulkers in here who, of course, have armor piercing, who are going to do the most damage, but just the fact of so many unit models means that he'll definitely take some good damage here. Cetra tries to come bail him out, but it looks like we're going to use a Itchy Nuisance there to debuff both the Scorpion and Cetra, and we've managed to get Cetra away from the Scorpion so that he won't be providing that My Will Be Done, at least at first. I think. Anyway, the mainline engagement, you can see the Spider Riders came and dropped a bit of a rear charge here. My forces contesting my opponent's backline are getting a little bit tattered, but we have managed to do a lot of damage to these Ushabti Great Bows. Both units already down a model and quickly dropping more. The Chariots able to get free there and start to charge around on some of these infantry. You can see Cetra is now in the same situation as his Tomb Scorpion. Thankfully, him and the Tomb Scorpion are pretty close together now, so they'll be able to kind of support each other. But yeah, the other Scorpion is also kind of getting dragged down in the back. The leadership not doing great because it's so isolated here, and I've got Skulkers on station. And the Skulkers, you know, they do have leadership issues, but that's one of the big reasons why I like to give them lots of chevrons, not only because it increases their combat stats, but because it increases their leadership as well, which is, as you know, very key as the Gobos. You can see this artillery piece, unfortunately, does get routed off by the Summoned Ushabti there. The balance power is slightly in my opponent's favor at this point, but we're going to go ahead and shoot the gap with these Moon Howlers. They're taking some fire on the way in, but thankfully they have a full 60 unit models to take that fire, so they're down to only 45, but that's still a full-size unit of cavalry on any other day, so they're going to get in here and start to drag down these Ushabti Great Bows just by way of their greater model count. Ushabti Great Bows also don't have the best combat stats in the world, so they'll definitely be able to get some damage done there. Meanwhile, in the back line, a very pitched engagement between the Scorpions in various pockets, and Cetra all kind of getting dragged down here. You can see most of the skeletons in the front line had crumbled away, and now the Hero Titans fighting all alone. The Warlord's boys, thankfully, are immune to psychology, and they also have armor sundering as well. So, yeah, down to only 70 armor on the Hero Titans, so their own attacks will do more. Obviously, Nash's Skulkers doesn't matter as much, but more smoke bombs being popped, catching both Cetra and the Tomb Scorpion here, keeping them nice and pinned in. I'm basically just cycling through one unit at a time using the smoke bombs, one after the other, so that we can try and keep them pinned in as long as possible. Meanwhile, in the back line, again, just cycling back and forth between the units of Ushabti Great Bows. The Hounds, or the Wolf Riders rather, and the Spider Riders going to get in here and try and finish off this last unit. We probably are going to rout off. I don't know that we'll be able to finish them, but we've got them low enough to at least start crumbling here. So, yeah, that in and of itself is pretty good. These other Spider Riders just kind of holding up what's left of the Tomb King's infantry, keeping them nice and separated from what's left. The Summoned Ushabti have just about degenerated, and the AP Loonies, of course, being unbreakable, are happy to fight there until the end. Cetra, though, still just surrounded by Goblins, and we were able to drag down both of the Tomb Scorpions as well. I'm not sure exactly where their bodies got off to, but they're somewhere around here. Both the Tomb Scorpions gone down, so now the Hero Titan trying to unify on Cetra, see if he can get a bit of a rear charge. Oh, it looks like here's one of the Scorpions. See if he can get a bit of a rear charge and tear out them. Unfortunately, we are going to get a smoke bomb. Actually, no, it looks like just a poison there. And yeah, that last bound Shem's Burning Gaze there made good contact with my Great Shaman, has put his leadership pretty low, so despite everything, the balance is still very, very even here. You can see the Gobos in the back line sort of doing their Gobbo thing, wavering, routing, and then coming back for another wave. So yeah, a bit of an ebb and flow, if you will, with the Gobos, but we're definitely flowing right now into the hills. You can see a terror route goes down there from the Hero Titan, and just a lot of the Gobbo units suffering from low leadership at this point. Thankfully, the Goblin Great Shaman is still online. We dropped a sneaky stab in on the AP Loonies because I know they're unbreakable. They're going to stand here, so they'll get full benefit from it regardless. And yeah, you can see the Hero Titan is starting to take some damage here, especially with the armor sundering, of course. That will help the AP Loonies do a bit better, so that's why I like using both the Goblin regiments for now in tandem. And dude, stop screaming, man. I mean, I know I'm microing you a lot, but yeah, we're going to go ahead and screen Cetra out one more time. He'd gotten loose and was chasing down the Shaman, so caught him with a smoke bomb there, and this was a bit of a mistake here. I was super close to having Wah recharged, and I thought Cetra was going to turn around and do attacks against the Goblins. Unfortunately, he just stood his ground and did attacks into the Great Shaman, and now he's routed off with only 300 hit points left, so yeah. Right as I start to turn the battle decisively, I just about throw it away again. But yeah, you can see the Tifrabas and all these mobile units are finally able to finish off the Ushabtis in the back line. So both the Ushabti Great Bows are now done, and we've got plenty of Spider Riders, Wolf Riders, and even the Chariots still online as well to try and rally to this kind of final pitched engagement here. Cetra away from the battlefield, though, unfortunately still just getting dragged down by endless Skulkers and Night Goblins, and just in general is really not happy about his life decisions at this point. And yeah, for the first time we're going to be getting a Fanatics cast. Didn't quite catch it, but it did go through all of these skeleton units, did some pretty good damage there, and I haven't really been using the Fanatics at all so far, so we've still got all 3 charges in the bank, ready to use against these tattered skeletons. In the end, you can see the leadership issues are starting to mount for the Tomb Kings. They're getting a lot of crumbling, but the Gobos likewise also suffering some leadership issues, and unfortunately my general is shattered, so he's going to go ahead and rout off the side. Cetra, though, getting dragged down here, trying to rally himself, use a little bit of magic to keep himself alive. It gave him a little bit of healing, and it's given him some, some physical resistance as well, but the crumbling damage is honestly going to be enough alone to finish him off. He does manage to rout the Skulkers, but not before, getting dragged down here by Goblins. So a rather ignominious fate for Mr. the Imperishable there, dragged down by hordes of Goblins, but the game's not over yet. We still got this Hero Titan to deal with, and the terror in the late game with Gobos tattered and with our leadership off the field, it's going to be potentially pretty rough. So we'll have to wait and see see how it goes. Thankfully, I had been keeping these Rock Lobber crews in reserve that had rallied. They had just been kind of hanging around the back of the map, you know, kind of maneuvering, trying to stay safe. And now in this late game, I've got one on this side and one on this side who can rally to their artillery pieces and start to fire in. So yeah, you can see the A-Peak Looney is going to go ahead and pull back. I need them to keep their leadership together, just to act kind of as a stabilizer for the rest of my forces, so we don't get a mass rout, because these guys, of course, won't chain rout. They'll be able to stay on, so that'll help the other Gobos hold their leadership together, but they're going to go ahead and release one more cast of the Fanatics sideways, kind of through the skeleton spears here, and it will actually, a few of them at least, get some good contact. Thankfully, the Rock Lobbers have been able to make some okay contact as well, and the other unit also online now, so my opponent's going to have to come chase this crew off, turn around, and then come chase that crew off, and he just doesn't have the speed, even with what he has left, to chase down even Goblins. So, I don't know, actually. These guys only have 20 speed. You could potentially maybe catch them, but although I guess maybe that's with the artillery piece, I'm not really sure how the speed stat actually works for artillery. I'd have to look into that a little bit further, but anyway. Yeah, we're going to fast forward a little bit here as the Tomb Kings make their way to the final Rock Lobber, and actually, I say final, the other Rock Lobber crew actually just rallied and picked up their pieces again, so the Hero Titan deciding he's going to go solo and try and finish that one off, while the Crumbling Skeletons aren't, well, one of the unit not quite able to make it here, but the other one is probably going to be able to make it, but at this point the balance power has tipped. Leadership issues for the Tomb Kings are going to be greater than for the Gobos, which is not something you say every day, certainly, and very well played to my opponent. I have to say, it was a super fun battle to play. Me and him were chatting after the battle, and I told him honestly, I didn't think this build would work at all. With the all Gobbo thing against the Tomb Kings, because you expect Goblins to just have terrible leadership, but I think the thing that makes Goblins so good is, well, number one, they're cheap. Super cheap. So you can juice them up with lots of chevrons and make them better, you know, kind of make up for some of their shortcomings, and still be able to bring a super wide army. Like, I had probably 19 or 20 stack here. I guess we'll see in just a minute. But, yeah, that's one of the benefits of Goblins. Looks like a full 19 stack here. And even still, chevrons all across the board here, you can see before the battle. That just makes the Goblins trade really, really well, all things considered. And the Nasty Skulkers in particular, just such a great unit with their AP damage. They can really get in there and drag down constructs as long as you can hold their leadership together, which obviously easier said than done. But the Rock Lobbers was probably the biggest gamble. I really had no idea if that was going to work at all. I just thought, hey, you know, they have armor-piercing missiles. I've seen people use, like, trebuchets against Demigryph Knights. Maybe Rock Lobbers would work against Tushapti Greatbows. And it ended up doing okay. I don't think it was necessarily ideal, but it definitely pressured my opponent into coming to me rather than me having to advance on him. And beyond the fact of, you know, being able to take down Tushapti Greatbows, I just didn't have many expensive targets for them to shoot at. So that in and of itself is a counter, you know, to that kind of heavy missile fire. But yeah, for my opponent there, 185 kills on Cetra at the end of the day. He definitely went to pound town on the Goblins, but just not enough at the end of the day. Just hordes and hordes dragging him down. Same thing with the Hero Titan, 98, 84 on an XP Chevron for this Tomb Scorpion, 67 for this guy. I mean, obviously you'd expect a lot of kill totals here, but you can see the Skeletons suffered pretty hard against the Gobbos in the front line. I mean, 96 kills on the Warlords, boys. Granted, a lot of that came from those 2 Fanatics casts in the late game, but still, they got some really nice work done. You can see the kills were just honestly spread pretty evenly across the board here for the Gobos. The Spider Rider's doing quite well, just kind of cycle charging skeletons and generally being a nuisance. The Tiefraba is also 38 kills, not too bad there. And yeah, even though the Rock Lobbers were mostly shooting at these Shabti Great Bows, they did manage to take down some Skeleton Spears, and then of course in the end game they are coming back from routing and picking up their catapults again, were able to finish things off. So super fun battle, very well played by my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, and all that jazz. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.